Democrat congressional candidate Isaiah Martin was arrested and forcibly removed from a committee hearing on redistricting in Texas. Of course, the Democrats are already claiming that this is yet another case of racism. They're pointing this as another example that President Trump's America is a fascist state. But as always, when you take a closer look at the facts, when you take a closer look at what actually happened, well, the Democrats' story doesn't add up. First, let's start with the moment everyone is talking about.
You need to have shame. You need to have shame. History will not remember you for what you have done. It is a shame. It is horrific for what you have.
Jesus! Jesus, get off of him!
It is horrific for what you have done. Sir, you should all be ashamed. America will rise up against you.
Whoa, sir, this is my first amendment. Sorry, you can't just wait.
So you can see he was knocked to the floor 2 times. Some Democrats are claiming that he was actually pushed down 3 times, but I'm not quite buying this push to the floor narrative because there's actually another angle here. And if you look closely at Isaiah Martin's feet, it looks like he's almost about to trip over himself. He's basically losing his balance in real time. And of course, because he's being escorted out of the room with uneven feet, that causes him and the person behind him to topple over. Of course, that's just my take. Here's the footage and you can decide for yourself.
You kindly for what you have done. They will not. As a matter of fact, history might not remember you at all because of what you have done. Again, you need to have shame. History will not remember you for what you have done. It is a shame. It is horrific for what you have.
Jesus, get off of him!
It's horrific for what you.
Yeah, from that angle, to me, it looks like he is really just putting all his weight on that one foot. And when the pressure, when the momentum and the weight is coming from the other side, he just loses his balance, topples over. And because the other guy's pushing him, the other guy falls over as well. Obviously, not a good look, but I don't think it's evidence of wrongdoing or aggression by the people who were asked to escort him out of the room. Now, of course, the question is, why did this happen? How did we even get to this point? Well, they were holding this committee hearing because they are looking at redistricting in Texas. And basically, if this goes through, the Republicans could potentially gain another House seat. Well, predictably, Democrats are very upset about this proposal to redistrict, and that's why Isaiah Martin was there, because he was called in to testify. That's right, he was brought into this committee hearing as a witness. Now, before I show you his testimony, it's important to point out that no matter what our thoughts are on gerrymandering or redistricting, both sides have taken advantage of this tool. But the difference is that every time the Republicans have gone by the rules, they've played according to the law, right? But the Democrats, Gavin Newsom is openly talking about redistricting now in California, but instead of going by the rules, he openly is talking about not doing it the clean way. Here's Gavin in his own words.
I think there should be a national framework for independent redistricting, period, full stop. Gerrymandering, and let's be fair, we've seen this weaponized by both parties for decades. From my perspective, if we're going to play fair in a world that is wholly unfair, we may have the higher moral ground, but the ground is shifting from underneath us. And I think we have to wake up to that reality. And I'm talking to members of my legislature, what are our alternatives? We can do a special session. I can call for one today if I chose to. We can then put something on the ballot, and I could call a special election. We can change the Constitution with the consent of the voters, and I think we would win that. I think people understand what's at stake in California. I think we'd come out in record numbers. I think it would be extraordinary success. That's a clean way of doing it. It'd be a very short window because you got to come back with the maps, and you got to change all this and prepare for the ballots that are around the corner next year. Or you can look at other avenues, which we are exploring, which are pathways with the legislature to do urgency clauses with 2/3 of the legislature in both of our houses, to move forward with legislative redistricting in between the constitutional construct, which is every census, the Independent Redistricting Commission does a new map, but it's silent about what happens in between. So it's a novel legal question, and it's being explored.
a novel legal question. So he talked about doing it a clean way and then doing it another way. Now, to be fair, a novel legal question doesn't automatically mean that it's illegal or unconstitutional. That's what the courts are for, to decide that. But even there, he's admitting that they're considering trying to bend the rules and find those loopholes and thread the finest needle possible. But it's just not Gavin Newsom. It's not just California. New York, New Jersey are also talking about this. In fact, Hakeem Jeffries was on the news, and talk about irony here, because he's talking about redistricting, and he's slamming Republicans and say whenever Republicans gerrymander, it's all about disenfranchising voters. Yet he says Democrats want to gerrymander as well, but they just want to maximize fairness. You can't have it both ways here, Hakeem.
And these Republicans are trying to disenfranchise millions of voters in Texas as part of a scheme to rig the midterm election. What we're committed to doing as Democrats in New York, in California, in New Jersey, across the country, is make sure that the congressional maps are as fair as possible. The people of Texas are at risk of not having fair maps. We have a responsibility of making sure that we look at every single state of the union and do what we can to ensure that we maximize fairness in those jurisdictions.
So that brings us back to Texas. Isaiah Martin was called in to testify in front of the committee about redistricting, but instead of actually talking about the topic, he spent all the time on the floor criticizing President Trump, essentially calling all the Republicans in that room President Trump's lackeys and bootlickers, which is ironic since he claimed that people in the room didn't know why they were there. He appears that he was the only one who didn't know why he was there. But I can't help but think that this was a political stunt because he's running for Congress, right? I think he was doing this to bring attention to himself. Well, watch what he says. This is just part one.
Testimony.
Well, hello to the committee. I'm Isaiah Martin. And it's very apparent that no one seems to know why we're here. It just seems as if many are just sitting here going with the emotions. And it makes sense, because the game is rigged. We already know this way the situation's going to be. Many of you that are Republicans that are looking at you guys understand the game. You got to get Trump's endorsement. That's the name of the game to be a Republican nowadays. And you know very clearly that Trump told every single one of you that he needs 5 seats, is what he said. So why do we play this game where we come here to an empty chamber in which all of you pretend as if you don't know what's going on when you already know what the situation is? But the real conversation that we should be having, that I want every single one of you to understand, is that there will be a retaliation for that. You've seen states like California say that they will gerrymander Republicans out of their states. You see the same thing in Maryland. The same thing is going to happen in New York. While you were in here, Governor Kathy Hochul said that she will be gerrymandering Republicans out of their seats. The same thing is going to happen in New Jersey.
Exactly. It happens on both sides. I personally don't like gerrymandering, but let's not pretend that both parties haven't attempted to take advantage of this tool. Again, the difference is that Texas is doing it openly. Texas is doing it according to their state constitution, whereas people like Gavin Newsom openly on camera, he's saying, hey, we're exploring new legal theories. There's nothing wrong with new legal theories, but that does suggest that he knows he can't do it quite maybe the legal way. He doesn't maybe have the political power to do that, and that's why he has to explore other options. The courts will decide. But he keeps going on and on and on, and it would be one thing if he kept that tone, but he kept raising the stakes. He kept pouring gasoline on the fire and getting really personal and insulting everyone in the room.
I mean, this is the game that we live in right here. And you choose, after we literally got after one of the worst mass casualty events in our state's history, to go and gerrymander people out of their seats. That's what you have chosen to do with your time, because you're scared of Donald Trump. You are scared and terrified because you're seeking an endorsement when you understand the truth. And the funny part about it is that you all know it's true. You can't react to it. I see you guys' faces. You can't react to it, but you all know what the situation is. Because Donald Trump runs this body. He runs your vote, he runs your vote, he runs your vote, he runs your vote, because you guys know that you cannot dare cross him. And ultimately, what we need in this state are people that have the cojones to actually go forward and call this stuff out. Because what you guys have done to this state is cataclysmically horrific. And I think that everybody across the nation should be able to go look at what you guys have done. So I look forward to Kathy Hochul getting rid of you guys as Republican friends. I look forward to Phil Murphy getting rid of your Republican friends. I look forward to Wes Moore doing the same thing. I think Andy Harris
Please finish
had a
your
long
testimony.
congressional career. He's about to be done too. All of them will be done.
So the end of that is the most important part. They tell him, please finish your testimony. Clearly, because he's not even on topic, he's actually attacking everyone in the room. I mean, invoking the horrific floods. That is just, how is that appropriate in this chamber to accuse them? Like, it's just, he's really dealing low blows here, and that's why they said, please wrap it up. But as you're about to see, he did not wrap it up. He kept talking and talking and talking, and that led to them actually cutting his mic off, which led to the sergeant at arms escorting him out of the room, which led to the falls on the floor, which we saw multiple times. Now, before we get to that clip, I just want to acknowledge that there is some truth to this. So, according to the Texas Tribune, Texas Republicans, including Governor Abbott, were reluctant to redraw the state's congressional maps, then Trump got involved. So, again, I tried to find nuance on this channel, and I'm not going to say that Democrats are wrong about everything. They're wrong about most things, but when they're right, I'll point it out. But again, just because he's right here, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Yes, Trump got involved, but again, Texas is doing it according to their own state constitution. It's not as if they're flouting the law. It's not as if they're doing this behind closed doors. It's not as if they're trying to do this secretly in the dead of night. Compare that again to Gavin Newsom, where he openly said there's a clean way to do it, and we're exploring another way. A clean way or another way? Hello? I mean, what's going on in Texas isn't even comparable to what's happening in California. But again, they told Isaiah Martin, please wrap up your testimony, and he refused to comply.
And you can thank your failed, senile, dilapidated, Epstein partying with president for all of the work that we're about to do to every single one of you.
Thank you for your testimony.
You did this, you caused this, and this is the
witnesses-
result of you and your work. No, I'm not going to finish.
Witness's
because
time has
ultimately,
expired.
I'm not finished. Because ultimately, who doesn't have a say in this are the people of this state, the 40 million people that you guys just kicked
Witness
off
will
of
come to
healthcare,
order.
The people of this state.
The witness
they're now
does
gonna
not-
have
the
to
witness
go
is not
without SNAP
recognized.
As a result of what you guys have done, this is a result of your policies. And you have no shame.
Okay.
You have no shame. None.
The witness-
Zero.
the witness-
You have no shame
Nope.
for what you've done. And I think that we all should be standing
No,
up here and
just
signing
cut off his mic. Cut off his mic. Okay. That the gentleman will come to order. We will maintain decorum. The gentleman will be reminded one last time. The gentleman will come to order immediately.
This is not
All right. The sergeants are directed to remove the gentleman from the room.
History will not remember you kindly for what you have done. They will not. As a matter of fact, history might not remember you at all because of what you have done. It's horrific.
The gentleman will be
You
removed.
need to have shame. You need to have shame. History will not remember you for what you have done.
And that obviously brings us back to the clip that we saw at the very beginning of the video. As you saw, the room was applauding because most of them agreed with Isaiah Martin. There are rumors online. I could not verify this. I looked all over TikTok, but there were rumors that there were some TikTok advocates and activists in the room who were causing mayhem. I'm unclear whether that was before or after this happened, but apparently the entire meeting was tense. But as you saw there, a lot of people behind agreed with Isaiah Martin, but he, as a witness being called to testify, he is a guest of that committee hearing. And when he did not actually do what he was supposed to do, when he got out of decorum, when they told him to stop, and he didn't follow procedure and they cut off his mic and he still kept yelling at them, of course they're going to escort him out of the room. It's not because he's a Democrat. It's not because he disagrees with them. It's not because of the color of his skin. If any one of us had done the exact same thing, I guarantee the same thing would have happened. But yet the Democrats are already trying to spin this and say, hey, we told you so. We warned you. But unfortunately for them, people like me, people like you, we can see through their ruse. We can see through their playbook. As always, though, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So, 2 questions. Question number 1, what do you think happened when he was on the ground? Do you think that he was pushed to the ground and it was aggression, or do you agree with me? And hey, it's okay if you disagree. You're free to do that here. Like, your thoughts, your opinions, that's freedom of speech. That's the beauty of the First Amendment. So yeah, do you think it was aggression by the officers, or do you think he tripped over his own feet? And then the second question is actually a broader question.